This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
On the Track is a monthly web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues, and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
So what have we got exciting that's coming up in this episode, Mr. John?
Well, Hennis, in this week's exciting and enthralling episode, we have the second part of my recent conversation with Ray Harwood, the Sasquatch archaeologist.
I really like the old credits.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is John Downs and I'm the director. And what? Hang on. What's that happening over there? I'm not sure what's going on.
Jeff, I believe you've got a big announcement for today's show. Barry, you know, Barry said he. I have. There's a bloke that lives in the block of flats opposite me, and we've got an exclusive interview with him. This bloke that lives in the block of flats opposite me, right? He's discovered a completely unknown tribe that have never had contact with the outside world. And he's discovered them under a flap of loose skin on his belly, and they've never heard of the wireless, and they venerate Ned Sherrin.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's try that again. Good afternoon, my name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and welcome to another episode of On the Track. For those of you who don't know, every Saturday afternoon at 3 and every Wednesday evening at 6:30, we bring you a miscellany, a mishmash, a mélange, a mixture, a marmoset, no... Lauren, what else begins with M?
Minnow, of course.
Thank you, Lauren. I can work with that. A minnow of hard science, weird shit, and surreality. What's surreality, you might ask? And no, I haven't the foggiest idea what that was all about. V. McCrinan sent it to me, and he's surreal enough on his own. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to our conversation that we had a few weeks ago with our old friend Ray Harwood, the Sasquatch archaeologist.
I have one friend, Phil Martin, and he was one of the world's strongest men. He was in the strongman contest and won at some point. And he could do this, but no other human I've ever met could. But someone had picked up one of these boulders and used it as an axe and pulverized this log and then stripped the bark off. And you could see the boulder, it was elongate, so you could see it laying against the log. So I just think grizzly bears don't pick up boulders and smash them against logs. Sasquatch and apes are definitely known to throw rocks. If you Google Sasquatch throwing rocks or look at a lot of the documentaries, you'll see it's very common for people to speak about the rock throwing. Even Jeff Meldrum in his book discusses rock throwing. So anyway, there's that. Let's see what else have I come up with since the last time we talked. Structures. I found some of the conical branch structures. I haven't seen any of the big log structures that they talk about in the eastern United States, but I have seen like, brush structures where, branches are lined up in a conical form, and small branches. And anyway, in Montana, I saw, probably 4 of those, and they were definitely made. And then, if I discuss someone with that, they'll think, well, it's Boy Scouts. I'll say, but I retired 10 years ago. I've been in the woods almost every day for the 10 years in the Northwest. I've not seen one Boy Scout out in the woods, not one. So the theory that Boy Scouts are going way back into the woods where I have to use a horse to get and building these conical structures, it's almost laughable because I don't see any kids in the woods at all anymore. They're out on their Game Boy, or maybe that's out of date, but Facebook, they're on their games, their 3D games and whatnot. And they don't really go out in the woods anymore. Once in a while, you'll see them on their mountain bikes and things like that. But when I get way back there where only I can get with a horse, I couldn't even get back there on foot. It's really strange to see a conical dwelling. And I've heard, oh, well, wilderness survivalists and this sort of thing, which is a possibility. But they're not leaving any trace that I could find. And a lot of times you'll find not only the dwelling, and I don't have an example of this, but I have them somewhere. But almost every time, not without exception, but most of the time when you find a conical dwelling, they'll have 2 equal-sized rocks, the size of like a large softball, like a softball-sized rocks, and they're always matching, and you always find them within these dwellings or close by. So the theoretical hypothesis, I guess, that people have is that these 2 rocks were used to clank together to warn others, like of impending intruder or something like that, or to call back children at the time or infants at the time of like we want you back here for some reason. They smell a mountain lion or a pack of wolves, or something like that. Because Sasquatch here is not without predators. They have humans, they have wolves, they have mountain lions. A big moose can kill you. There's a lot of things out here that could be predatory. Humans, number one, of course, or maybe even another Sasquatch, like a rogue male or whatnot. So anyway, they have these 2, what people have been come to call these signal rocks, and I have seen those on several occasions. Let's see. The other thing is you can always throw it at someone if they're supposedly good aim at throwing. So if you had these, it would be like having a pistol under your bed, these rocks. So they could easily, I guess they throw underhand from what the documentaries have suggested, but you could easily underhand throw one of these big, softball sized rocks and knock someone's block off. So there's a couple different, theories on that. And it may be something we're not even speculating on because we don't know their lifestyle, and what tools and what musical instruments they could be. There's a lot of different things they could be. And I know, and they in the study of chimpanzees and bonobos, they found they throw rocks, and they've even found piles of rocks under hollow logs where they've been throwing the rocks at the log to get this neat sound. And at the base of this hollow tree, they find piles of similar sized rocks. So, there's Cliff Barackman from Finding Bigfoot. I went to one seminar of his, and I was talking to him afterwards about the what I thought were tree knocking sticks, and I still think they are actually. But anyway, he says his theory is that the noises that are made that we think are tree knockers are rocks thrown at hollow logs or whatnot, or thrown against trees or thrown against each other. And then the other theory is that that they're beating on their chest or making noises with their enormous jowls, knocking their teeth together. But I've actually heard the sound, and to me, it sounds like a baseball bat hitting a ball out of the, when they're playing baseball and you hear that crack. That's what it sounded like to me. And then once in a while, I've only heard it maybe 3 or 4 times in 10 years. But the one time it was like frenzied, like beating on this tree. And it was definitely sounded like wood to me. And then when I started going out, doing transects back and forth where people have heard these or if I've heard them, I'm actually finding baseball bat size sticks or tiny logs. I don't know what you call them, but and they're modified to a certain extent. They're not sawed. They seem to be twisted off, which is like one of the things that a lot of people talk about. So in any case, let's see, that's about it for that.
Well, I was wondering, I was interested what you said about horses being a sort of bait. Are there any accounts of horses actually being attacked by Sasquatch?
I've never looked into that. Not going to think of offhand, but it's a good point. I'm going to think about that and do some research. But I know that I do have photographs of cows and donkeys with their hindquarters completely torn off and their necks broken. But we don't know if that was a mountain lion or a pack of wolves or a Sasquatch or a grizzly bear. We don't know what killed them. I know the wolves out here, but just north of here, I don't know if you heard the Bossberg trackway, the Bossberg footprints, or the Cripplefoot. It's a famous track it's got like some kind of deformation in one of the foots. That's not really far from here. It's like 3 hours or 4 hours from here, I think, at the most. So I've been looking up there, but I lost the track of what I was thinking. Oh, but they do have grizzly bears, a higher degree of grizzly bears in that area. I lost the track of what I was thinking. I was so intent on thinking of Bossberg that I lost what I was talking about. Okay, well, anyway, so the other thing I like...
There are accounts in South America of the Bigfoot analog known as the Dai attacking horses and pulling out their tongues.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
I give you that for what it's worth, and that's all I know.
Yeah, well, that's probably right in there with what I was thinking, so that's good. Let's see what else. See, I was thinking horse, martial wilderness.
Well, if you were up by Flathead Lake, there's a lake monster there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, actually, I wanted to cover that too. See if I can find my. It's actually, where is it? It has to be the last one. Oh, okay. Anyway, I got 2 things I want to. Bucky, you want to say hello? Bucky.
Hi, dog.
This is Bucky. I've taught him how to track.
Isn't he beautiful?
Yeah, he's been to dog school and stuff, and his grandfather was a grand champion show dog, bird dog type thing. So anyway, so this hat, I was with my nephew up in North Montana. This is what my point was with the Bossberg. We were in that area hiking around, and you hear about the smell that these Sasquatch leave off. Like, to me, it didn't smell like a dead body or a skunk or bad breath, like they say. It was just an overwhelming sweet smell. Not a good one, though, with other scents put in. But it was so strong, my nephew's mother had to throw away his clothes. And I'm not really that well off, so I washed mine, but I saved the hat that got the smell on it. And it was really pungent on the clothes because it was in the soil, it was on the trees, it was like it had exuded it into the environment and it smelled everything. It wasn't like a smell coming from an animal. The smell was from the animal put on these. It was like in this dirt, it was in the plants, it was on the trees, and it was in this whole canyon we were in. You could smell it really strong. So I captured some and I put it in a hermetically sealed Ziploc bag and see if I could save the smell. Well, over time, though, the smell went away, as this was like 2 years ago. But Bucky's got this big snout. I'll show you. Show him your big snout. Where are you?
Lovely snack dog, aren't you?
Yeah, he's got the hound dog snout, really good smell. So I put this hat in his face and told him to seek. And he went running out into the woods, and it really never amounted to much, except for in Montana, it actually, that's how we found one of the structures. Bucky actually found it after taking the scent. So that's a strange, I mean, it doesn't prove anything, but it is a strange concept. But anyway, while we were there, we were looking for this guy here, not the lady, but this is the magazine I did on it, and it's the my version of what the Flathead Lake monster, like Nessie, Loch Ness monster, and see if I put it in here or not. Well, this is kind of like a AI description of what I was described when I talked to the Native Americans.
That's very good.
Yeah, so that's supposed to be like a plesiosaur, I guess. Plesiosaurus. So anyway, the Native Americans that I talked to described it that way. Here they are. Of course, that's not a real photo, but that's kind of like a recreation of what I was described. And then
this AI image generator stuff.
Yeah.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. A lot of people are opposed to it, but I love it because I could never draw this. And I want to get something across. Like this here is an actual legend, Flathead Indian First Nation, whatever. This is actually conceptualized from an actual legend of monster. So the it's not just the pioneers or the modern people that have seen it. It's pre-Columbian, before Columbus got here, they already were talking about this guy. So there's a lot of legends about it. And then there's modern day, of course, modern day encounters, or I guess you'd say ledge counters. So my son lives in Flathead Lake in a cabin there. So Bucky and I went up when we didn't. Sometimes we get the horses and we go up in the mountains. But then my son found out, we got way back in there and my son found out he was allergic to horses.
Oh, golly.
It didn't end well.
No, poor chap.
Yeah, we had to get, there was three of us and we had to ride back pretty much as fast as we could get down the hill and get him to the doctor or whatever. So he couldn't even breathe. He was so allergic to the horse or the horse dander or something.
Oh,
But
poor chap.
yeah, and then so a lot of times we'll just track with Bucky. And then a lot of times we'll horse, and then we use a river rafting guide to go into the Bob Marshall on the big river. There's a Flathead River. And then it's like got rapids and stuff, so it's really exciting. But they have also on the lake, we use kayaks, boats, and then there's a really big tour boat that goes along the coast, or the beaches or whatever you'd call it, the shoreline. So we've taken that, and I'm looking for Sasquatch clues on the shoreline. And I guess they swim too. They're apparently aquatic apes, or at least as much a human is or more, probably more from what I understand. Especially the skunk ape, it's supposed to be, very aquatic.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we got this last time I was there 3 weeks ago or something, and we were on the tour. It's like a trawler, and we were way out in the lake, and this big storm hit. And it was completely unexpected. It wasn't in the news or anything like this, but the waves got tremendously big. This lake is really huge. So any kind of environmental thing that you'd get like on the ocean, you get on this, maybe to a smaller degree. But the whole thing was, it was so big that the refrigerator inside the boat where they sell like sodas and things flopped down on its front. And, people were holding on and all this kind of stuff. You don't really get seasick for some reason on a lake because you don't get the sea smells. At least that's what, no one really got sick. So I thought maybe that's why, but it was, we almost didn't get back. It was that treacherous. And this is a big trawler. But while we were going down one of the waves, because they were, it was pretty big waves, especially for a lake. As we were going down, this other wave here was going up, and I saw something in the wave that was, I can't say it looked exactly like that, or I'd be like ecstatic, but I saw something that looked really strange. And I don't know if it was a log with branches coming out the side, because it was only just for a second. And I even called out there was like 20 other people in this boat. Of course, they were holding on for dear life, so maybe that's why they didn't respond. But I said, hey, that could be the lake monster, because it was coming out of the lake. It was floating. The water was moving so much that it might have brought an old log from the bottom up. I don't know, the lake pretty deep, or maybe a log that was floating started animating itself in the woods, in the waves. But anyway, it looked pretty good. If I saw that and there was no storm, I would think I saw something. The other theory, and it could be more than one thing going on here. Of course, you always, even with Bigfoot, you get misidentification.
Of course.
So it could be, I saw a log and it really did look like a monster. In fact, there's even movies of, tree monsters and stuff. So, I mean, like.
By the way, we've only got a minute and a half left.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I'll finish up with the monster. So anyway, it turns out that in the 1800s, a guy caught a white sturgeon, which is a Stone Age looking fish with real nasty gills coming out and giant, cabosities getting all over the body. And they look really ancient. And someone did actually catch one of those that was like 25 feet or something like that in the 1800s. And even now, fishermen sometimes come up with one that's 12 feet long. So the theory is that's what people are seeing, but which is still cool. I mean, those are monsters, and they really exist. I've seen them, but I don't know if it's a plesiosaur, but who knows? I mean, they're in so many lakes have a plesiosaurus type looking beast in them that you'd think, well, maybe there's something to it. They have them in Africa, British Columbia, a couple American lakes, of course, Nessie, and, so, I mean, I think there's probably something to it. And then you see the pictures of the dragons in almost every ancient culture.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page, and check out our Patreon.
And as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who's an ever more regular visitor to my little studio, says, don't forget to ring the notification bell, otherwise you'll miss the new episodes. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it?
If you've been affected by any of the topics in today's episode, you can just bugger off, because we don't give a monkeys. Bloody well get a grip! Sort your own bloody problems out rather than ringing up somewhere.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say a big thank you to my guest this week, who's Ray Harwood, and I want to say a big thank you to Richard and V for their contributions, but for whom we would not be able to do this. I want to say a big thank you to Louis, my producer, who is still in America doing American things. And I want to say thank you to Graham, the Deputy Director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, who's also my carer and looks after me, gets me up in the morning, puts me to bed at night, pushes my wheelchair around hospitals and does all the other stuff that sadly I need to have done for me these days. And I want to say a big thank you to my Assistant Director, Gwyn Palmer, who's an absolute poppet and does so much more behind the scenes that nobody ever realises. I'm going to be back on Wednesday. What am I going to be talking about on Wednesday? Well, I think I am likely to be talking about hawk moths, and most importantly the migratory hawk moths, which come to England at this time of year. But that's not set in stone just yet because I haven't filmed it. And I'm going to be back next Saturday. And what am I going to be talking about next Saturday? Probably I am going to be talking to Richard Freeman, who is going to be explaining what he intends to do on the latest CFZ expedition to Tajikistan. So, I'm going to be there doing the live chat and the notifications and everything else I do. Are you all going to be there, Mr. McCrinnan? Because if you're there, Mr. McCrinnan, and I'm there doing my stuff, then no doubt I shall be seeing you